Alright, in this video I'll be going over the winter squash slash pumpkins I'm growing for 2024. If you notice, I actually have two squash on the table. Actually, one's a pumpkin. Actually, that one squash variety I'm not going to grow. I'm going to cover that, of course. So let's start off with what I haven't grown, what will be new to me. So that's going to be this Acorn squash. So this is a hybrid Acorn squash called Night Shift, and that is from Johnny's. So what makes Night Shift Acorn squash? Why did I pick it? Because there's more hybrid acorn squash out there than I realized. I didn't realize that was such a large, so many. So the Night Shift apparently offers the longest storage of any of the acorn squash. One of the things I'm after, acorn squashes typically don't have nearly as good of storage as some other winter squash. So it has excellent storage. It has excellent eating quality, maintains that eating quality. It has by the name Night Shift, it's a very dark green, almost blackish color. It maintains that color. It's also more of a vine style acorn than the bush type. Apparently, the bush type acorn squashes typically are not, they tend to lack in flavor. While they take up less space, the flavor and eating quality seems like it declines with bush style variety acorn squash versus vine style acorn squash. And I made a video about it last year. I lost out on acorn squash last year because the acorn squash seeds I saved had gotten cross-pollinated with a spaghetti squash because they are in the same family, and I ended up with a mutant plant that was massive that produced probably well over 20 big spaghetti squash acorn hybrids that were more spaghetti squash than acorn squash for sure. And like I said, I do have a video I made about that. So hopefully this year I will actually have some acorn squash. Next variety is the HoneyNut. This is about year number 3 growing. These are small, almost like butternut like squash, but very small, very personal. They could fit in the palm of someone's hand that has a large hand. And the plants are small, they don't take up a lot of space. You could probably go 3 of these to 1 butternut squash plant, and that is HoneyNut squash. That is open pollinated. You can save the seeds from that. It almost doesn't get cross pollinated, which you won't know until you save the seeds. That's how it works. Let's grow to another squash, and that is a butternut squash, which is a French variety, Sucrine du Berry. I've been growing this for 4 or 5 years. Excellent flavor. It's a French butternut squash, very deep orange color. Kind of looks like that pumpkin on the outside color wise. A little bit more larger than your store-bought butternut, a little wider, more girthy, not as narrow. And I'll keep growing that one. While we're on that, we have the Musquee de Provence pumpkin, which is right there. Shelf life is excellent. I still have one, and it's the last one left. I only grew 1 plant. I got like 5 or 6 pumpkins off of 1 plant. Plant was huge. You know, that pumpkin's well over in a good 20-pound range. And it's a French pumpkin. Open pollination, can save the seeds from it. Excellent, made excellent pumpkin pie. Makes great pumpkin puree. You can cook the pumpkin, roast it, run it through a blender to puree, and just freeze it in the bags that way. Makes great pumpkin pie, has great shelf life, and I will continue to grow this French pumpkin Musquee de Provence. And actually, in parts of France, apparently in like the food markets, because of its shape, they kind of sell it like a cheese wheel. So they'll cut out sections on these big ridges and sell it in like individual like chunks. And it has a and one thing I will tell you about this variety, a lot of mine actually grew upside down. So this part was on the ground. It was, the top of it was laid on the ground, and I didn't really move it around too much because I didn't want to, break the stem. And as long as this thing got started to change to this nice tan color that it is, and the rind is nice and hard and firm, it's okay to go ahead and harvest it, especially if the plant is dying or you're going to experience some really bad weather or something, and let this put up on the shelf someplace. Let it sit for like a month. As long as it's mostly changed color, it'll continue to change from any of that green that's left to this nice tan orange color completely, and it'll continue to get deeper, and it'll also cure on the inside, and it'll get sweeter. So a lot of things with these things like HoneyNut squash, butternuts, acorns, all these like orange things that are orange on the inside, they all actually taste a little bit better if they actually have time to cure a little bit. So the last one I'm going to cover is actually a fun pumpkin. It's just a decorative. It's not for eating. My wife really likes growing these. And that is the polar bear pumpkin, called hybrid giant pumpkin. They're not giant pumpkins. They can get large. I mean, there's people that have probably pushed them over 50 pounds. Ours, I think the largest one we had was like upper 30s. But these are a pure white, completely white pumpkin. And like I said, they are a decent sized pumpkin. They're fun to grow. They're heavily disease resistant. They do well against pest pressure. I typically do two growing things a year. Shelf life is excellent. So I'll make some transplants, plant them in the end of April, and I'll probably plant some seeds at like the first week in June. And the shelf life of these are fantastic. We literally have them out on our porch. Literally, it's like snowman during Christmas. And then if I put them back in the house, they would still be okay. It's just that the cold temperatures, froze them outside, and they're done. So polar bear pumpkin, a great fun pumpkin to grow. For decorative, if you got kids, or you just, you're kid at heart like my wife is, and really likes to grow those big white pumpkins. And of course, there will be a link in the description where to buy these. Two of the seeds came from Johnny's, and the other three came from Baker's Creek, also known as rareseeds.com. And oh yeah, so like I said, that is the Musquee Provence pumpkin. That's my last one I have. And that is a traditional, just regular old spaghetti squash. This isn't one that's cross-pollinated. This is just a spaghetti squash we got from them. I've probably saved the seeds for several years. And honestly, I'm not going to grow it next year. I may not grow it for a bit. I'm tired of spaghetti squash. I really don't care for it that much. I feel like it's more of a hassle trying to cook with it. And we don't like wasting food. So instead of growing this, maybe I'm going to focus more on growing more butternut, because I like making butternut squash soup. I like roasting butternut squash. I like roasting acorn squash. I just prefer that, honestly, over the spaghetti squash. But that is spaghetti squash I still have well over a handful of them, including the ones that are the cross-pollinated acorn spaghetti squash hybrid. Anyway, till next time, I hope you'll have a good growing season. I hope you'll have a good day, and thank you for watching. I appreciate it.